today. We're here. You're welcome. And of course, we're welcoming you to Live with Marcy and Amy, the Heart-Centered Woman. We are here every third Thursday, typically, of the month with incredible messages of really deep commitment to living heart-centered lives. And so, of course, today is no different. Today, we're going to be talking about the rise of the empowered heart and how to dismantle perfectionism and embody the woman who takes bold, heart-centered action. So, Amy, can you introduce yourself and talk about your heart-centered life and all of that action?
Yes. So I'm Amy Shade. I am a women's life coach, empowerment coach. I'm also the creator of the Radical Embodiment Method. And let's see, you know, this is a great topic today,
I
perfectionism.
know. I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, because as a woman who has really had to reconcile her perfectionism so that I can not only support my life but support other women's lives in this area, because this, I think, one area of perfectionism is one of the main issues in women's lives. Okay, and we're going to talk about how it all kind of comes to be, or how it plays out, what it looks like. And but I do believe that, when I am supporting women in their journey, whether to, stay true to their purpose, stay true to their creativity, stay true to themselves, perfectionism is one of the big items that we must really reconcile with ourselves so that we can have the business that we want, the relationship that we want, the life that we want. And so with that, I'm going to pass it to you, Marcy, and
Mm,
go ahead and introduce yourself.
thank you so much, Amy. And just for everyone, I want you to know, I mean, Amy really does embody um, this, heart-centered approach in everything that she does. And so I'm so happy to be here with you. But I'm Marcy Newman. I'm known as the Heart Shift Coach, and I am the embodiment of course, all of my own life experiences, as well as the privilege I've had of helping people, and particularly these last 25 years, supporting women around the world in really creating a self-love lifestyle, learning how to heart shift and shift the calibration of their heart, and being heart centered in all that they do. And so I'm now in my 51st year of doing that, which is crazy. I say it every single month, and every month it's like, it's not possible, but here I am. And so, in my approach with working with people, and even just in the messaging that I share in all of my classes and workshops, it is one where it's time. We are being invited to step out of the programming, the patriarchal society, and to step into our hearts as women, being the blessing that we are meant to be. So we have an entirely different energetic approach to things, and it's time to give up what we have been programmed to do, which is to dismiss it. And so Amy and I are here to amplify it and to remind you who you are. So, with that, again, I just want to repeat for those who have come in. We are here today talking about the rise of the empowered heart, how to dismantle perfectionism and embody the woman who takes bold, heart centered action. And so, I'd like to just open up with this quote from Edith Eger. And here's what she has to say on perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that something is broken. You. So you dress up your brokenness with degrees, achievements, accolades, pieces of paper, none of which can fix what you think you are fixing. And so, with that, Amy, I would love to dive in and create this discussion because I know you have had experience, as you said, in perfectionism. And so, if you could share how perfectionism personally has shown up in your journey and how did you start to dismantle it?
Yes. So, oh my God. First and foremost, everybody's journey around perfectionism is almost universal because whether you are like for me, I was a dancer, an artist, a dancer. I got perfectionism in that area of like having to be perfect. Your perfection in this art form gave me acceptance. So the better I was, the more perfect I was in this art form, the more I was accepted, right? And that also was very very prominent because I wasn't accepted at home, right? So I totally bought into my worth was based on how perfectly I did something. Now, that made me a very technical dancer, but a technical dancer without much heart, right? And I let perfectionism keep me from really growing and being a performer in the professional field because every little mistake I made was a personal attack on my worth. And then I was like, I would get off stage and everyone would be like, Amy's so beautiful, so great. And I was like, thinking about those two things I did wrong. Okay. So if you are in the artist form and you're like, okay, is he a painter or photographer, whatever it is, and you feel like stuck in not moving forward and not taking action because of you're not good enough, it's too hard, all these things, it's not, people are going to judge you. This is really a perfection is really a great place for you to start examining, like start unfolding around. And just think about this actually earlier. I grew up in a home of all women, all girls. There was no boys. But if you had brothers and you had sisters and brothers, I think as I was reflecting, I'm like, that must be so hard in the perfection area because the brothers oftentimes get to be wild and do whatever. And you as the girls and your sisters had to be like these perfect things,
Yeah.
right? Not like your brother. I
Mm.
can't relate to that, but I started reflecting on how much perfection probably was so ingrained in women in households of with brothers. So I started my personal journey with perfectionism with what Marcy mentioned. I went into a group of women, spiritual women, and meditation and all that. And my teacher was speaking about the patriarchy, okay, and perfectionism and how damaging it is for us as women. Now, in our life, in our relationships, in our business, it is such a hideous thing that is oftentimes covered up and made to look pretty. Okay. When really, it's really ugly and damaging to us because it looks pretty to be successful in this area, right? It's all tied up in this little bow. But what we're doing in this idea of success and putting ourselves in there is oftentimes we're abandoning ourselves so that we can actually get to that spot that looks so pretty, that's so full of like, now I'm going to be worthy. I got this job. Now I'm going to be worthy. I got this relationship. Now I'm going to be worthy. When in fact, you get there and you're going to still feel not worthy because perfectionism is this insidious thing that lives that we must let go of. And we'll talk about that later. But go
Sure.
ahead, Marcy. And I know I want to ask you, what is perfection from your perspective, and why do so many women in general suffer from it?
So thank you for that, Amy, and thank you for sharing your experiences. It's so important that we do that, particularly when it comes to perfectionism. And so perfectionism to me really comes from this place where energetically we are suffering. And we are suffering because we are at war within ourselves. We have all of this pressure from the outside world, as you were describing. We have pressure on the inside because of the extreme programming and conditioning that we all receive. It doesn't matter what culture you come from, although there are some cultures that are extreme when it comes to perfectionism. Every single culture has its own unique version of it. But nonetheless, what I've discovered is that that perfectionism, particularly for women, comes up when we are trying to adhere or live up to the expectations of that patriarchal society. Now, I want to say this is not in any way, damning to the men. They are subjected to this in ways that we can't even imagine. But as a result, it becomes almost um, a directive, right? It's in the forefront of everybody's perspective in terms of how they judge their own lives. I can remember my father trying to drum into us, stop trying to, how would he say it? Stop trying to you live up to the Joneses or compete with the Joneses or whatever that was. First off, I didn't know who the Joneses were, but they were somehow afflicting this perfectionism on this that I was always trying to strive for something that I wasn't. And so for me, um, just to share a moment about my own perfectionism, I am such a creative that even as a youngster, I was constantly creating. I would design clothing, I would sew, I would make it. I would do some kind of an art project. I was always creating something, writing, doing something. And what I discovered is that the things that, for instance, I wrote or I created in art form I rarely shared with anyone. However, I got such incredible feedback when I would walk into school with this outfit that I was wearing. Nobody else had one. And everybody wanted to know not only would, I give up like where I bought it, but when they found out that I created it, designed it, made it on my own, everybody wanted me to do the same for them. And I realized within myself that what was happening was that I could achieve a certain level of perfectionism by being completely unique, but it didn't mean that I was necessarily authentic. And so, like you said, Amy, I had six brothers, okay? Everything I did was looking through their eyes. And was I pretty enough? Was I smart enough? Was I funny enough? Because they were bringing their friends in, right? And so I really did develop that perspective. And so when it came time for me to marry, what do you think I did? I married a man who had perfectionism ingrained within him on levels that mine were not even close to. And as a result, and we'll go further into this as we go on, but as a result, I suffered terribly from the day I got married until the day I left. And it was all because when we are trying to live up to these levels of perfectionism based on how we believe others are seeing us and judging us, we can never, ever make peace within ourselves about being ourselves. So, with that, Ames, I'd like to ask you, what do you think is the hidden cost of perfectionism when it comes to relationships and creativity?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been there too. You get married and you're like, why am I here? What happened? What am I doing? Who am I? And why
Yeah,
do I keep giving myself away? Why am I silencing my voice to make them feel comfortable? Why am I giving up my dreams and my thoughts and ideas to avoid conflict? Why am I sitting silently in misery?
that's right.
These are the effects of perfectionism because you're trying to be worthy. You're trying to show just how shiny, beautiful, and great you are. You are just trying to really create this falseness of being the perfect woman because you are fighting for your worth, and the person that you're fighting, you're in relationship with, doesn't give a crap. You know, when they do give a crap is when you say, I don't care. I don't care that you're mad at me. Deal with it. This is my life. This is what I want to do. I need to figure out why I feel like I have to be silent in this exchange.
Yeah,
Why? What am I what am I afraid of?
yeah.
And if you're fearful of your partner, then I would suggest another partner. I, I have been in that relationship where you're fearful of the person's response, right? But also, I took responsibility for understanding that I have that belief that their response is going to somehow push against my idea of being worthy or not. So this is a very, as I said, when I say the word insidious around perfection, that's what it is, because it stills your soul. It stills your voice. It stills your empowerment and your grounding in embodying the person you are and standing your ground and feeling comfortable there. So that happens in relationships. In creativity, oh my God, it's horrible. As a creative, someone who's a creative, as an artist, perfectionism is horrible. It is painful. In judgment, painful around the fear of being seen for your who you are as a creative. And this is in your business, this is in your art, this is in your your wacky thoughts and ideas of who you are, right? Perfectionism will crush all that and then allow you to say things like, I'm just shy. I'm shy. Allow you to say things like, I'm an empath. It's just too much for me. Allow you to say things like, I'm just not capable. I'm not good enough. Right? These are the things that we say that are easily said, that are in front of this idea, this perfection and our self-worth and our ability to embody ourselves, love ourselves, and walk through life totally authentic and okay with not being perfect. So we all must examine. examine this. I mean, even when I tutor, I used to tutor, I still do tutor mathematics, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night worried about did I make a mistake? Did I tell them the wrong thing? Like losing sleep,
Yeah.
right? So, um, these are some of the things that you might be experiencing as a creative or in your relationships that we get to re-examine and question. And as I said, and Marcy also said it, this is a huge thing, especially for women. It's huge. It's huge, and it keeps us playing small. It keeps us in this little box. So, I'm so happy we're doing this show.
Oh, me too.
I'm happy that we'll be doing our workshop in the July 30th to really bring this to the forefront, because this is, if you have not really dived into perfectionism, this is your opportunity,
That's
because
right.
I know firsthand what how it affected my life. And you know what? I'm just not willing to let that happen anymore. Okay, so with that, got a little, but okay. So, Marcy, so what's the difference between being a perfectionist and being meticulous? You give me that hard word, meticulous.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm going to say that there is some challenge in separating them because they actually go hand in hand. Very often the perfectionism demands that you are meticulous in everything that you do. However, energetically, there is a bit of a difference. So, perfectionism comes from, as you and I both have said, it comes from this place of fear. It is 100% fear-based. Fear that we are going to be exposed as not being enough. Fear that there's something wrong with us. Fear that we cannot show up and appease someone else's expectations. Perfectionism comes from fear, and it's so deeply ingrained, we don't even recognize it. We can very easily just let it roll off of our thoughts, right? Roll off of our our tongue. I'm a perfectionism. But what it really is we are in this need of such control, this need of walking and living in this very straight line with tunnel vision, blinders on both sides because we don't dare step out of it. That's where perfectionism comes from. When we are being meticulous, as an artist, for instance, you may want to be meticulous because of the expression that is coming through you, that flow of energy. I want to dot that I. I want to put just that little yellow flower over there because it's going to change the entire landscape and be a true reflection of the vision that you have. It's coming through you. Okay, so being meticulous at times, as long as it's not coming from your perfectionism, it can just be an expression of wanting to create from step A to step, Z, your vision. So you meticulously do it. If you've ever seen some of those paintings, for instance, that are, trillions of little dots, right, all over the place, and yet they make this huge image. It's meticulously done because it was part of the vision. So perfectionism and being meticulous, as I said, it can sometimes be confusing, and this is where Amy and I talk about this all the time. It's where it's so important, that journey of intimacy, into me see. You have to be able to discern within your own being. Your body will tell you, am I in my energy of perfectionism? Is it my need to control so that I am not going to be exposed as inadequate or not enough? Or am I in my energy of being meticulous and expressing this vision that I have, and I just want to fulfill it? Those are two very different energies that often get confused. So, you know what, Amy, you mentioned our workshop coming up, and I actually would like to talk about that for a minute because this, as you said, if you haven't started to look at the role of perfectionism in your life yet, this is your opportunity to start. And I promise you, your life will never be the same again. I'm so aware of it now. And I'm not going to say to you that it doesn't creep up and, try to grab me, right, in its grips. But we must start to identify it. And so, what Amy and I want to do is on July 30th, this is a 90-minute workshop, totally focusing on how to identify and discern that energy. Because, again, we might not recognize um, um, the symptoms of it. But when we position ourselves to recognize the energy of it, even in the most subtle nuances, we're going to know that's our invitation. It's going to call us right back to where we need to go. And that is to let go of all of that. So, Amy, can you talk about, aside from the workshop, which is so incredible, what are some of the other things, the bonuses that come with signing up for that workshop?
Yeah, so the workshop, again, 90 minutes. You also get the Marcy Newman's Forgive to Live online course. This course is awesome.
It is
It
awesome.
is very detailed. You also get the Radiant Reflections meditations tailored for women. That's from me and my teachings. And then the replay of the Rise of the Empowered Heart show, which is this, and unlimited access to the replay of the workshop once you take it. So even if you can't join us live, then you can go ahead and watch it over and over and over in the comfort of your own home. And so again, we do a workshop every month, and these workshops are very valuable to the people who come. And as I said, and I can't I just very passionate about perfection because it screwed me up for so many years.
Yeah,
It really stopped me from my passions. It stopped me from being here today. It would have stopped me from being here today. So,
that's right.
it's something that we all get to look at. And
Yeah. And are being called to look at. This is the time, when things are emphasized
mhm.
and it's like right in front of you, and that, this is speaking to you. One thing that I've learned is that we must respond because it'll eat away at you if you don't.
And
And speaking
quietly,
of which, what's that?
quietly eat
Quietly. Oh,
away.
yeah. Until
This
it's
is
not quiet anymore. Yeah. So, Amy, what about the role that the body plays in breaking free of perfectionism? And how can movement help women access their, I love this, unapologetic power?
yes.
Yes.
If you ever see me, you watch me over and over, you see that I'm constantly in movement. Then I'm a very expressive person with my body. And the opposite would be for me to contract and then speak only from the mouth. Okay. But we have to understand that our body is where our beliefs live, our values live. Joy lives in the body, happiness, right? Anxiety lives in the body. Everything lives in the body. So if I was to hold my body still and just speak from my mouth, it's a very difficult, and it's just a stressful situation for me at this point because I understand that my body is part of my mind and my thoughts and my beliefs and my values. Okay. Now, this comes from me being a dancer, and many women will not move their body because they don't think they're good dancers, right? That's perfectionism coming in. I'm not good at that. I can't dance. I don't know how to dance. I'm not a good dancer, right? That's perfectionism coming in, keeping you from connecting to your body. And all of us, our body is, we say, our body is our temple, right? Remember that saying, your body's your temple, right? This is thing that somehow we have forgotten, that our body is a valuable thing. It is not something that needs to be shut down because of perfectionism, because it doesn't look a certain way, because you feel uncomfortable in your body, right? So when you get into movement, okay, number one, if you're telling yourself, I'm a bad dancer, I don't know how to dance. First, you got to examine that. Well, what's the expectation? What's the comparison? Like, if you dance around in your living room, even that people are like feeling uncomfortable around. And so that is this idea of what dance, but this perfection idea of what dance is supposed to look like. That's what you're going up against. When in fact, movement, dance is really one of the most healthy, expressive thing you can do for yourself, because it releases tension, it releases anxiety, it gets your endorphins going, it makes you feel better. All of these positive things with dance and movement. But we don't do it because we have this idea of what it's supposed to be, and we're not there. And so we don't do it, right? But we easily say, I'm not a good dancer.
Yeah.
This is how perfectionism shows up. And as a woman, our bodies are so important. They bring life. They are they keep us healthy. It keeps us healthy in our body when we are connected to it. When we're connected to our body, we make healthy choices. When we understand how important our body is, we change our lifestyle. We get into movement. We decide to eat better when we become conscious of our body. And so once you get grounded in self and your body, you are unapologetic. You walk into a room. I mean, because I was a dancer and I didn't realize as a young person how powerful the embodiment of movement was, I didn't realize to the outside world how confident I looked, just because of my body I was so in tune with my body. I knew how to hold myself in such a way through dance, right? I didn't realize how impactful that was for other people looking at me, until people often said, "Oh my God, Amy, you were always so confident as a kid." And I wasn't. My body was, but my mind was like,
Yeah.
you know,
Got it.
got
Yeah.
it. So start moving. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? Even as a dancer, I don't prepare. When I go into class and I'm going to teach a new routine, I don't prepare anymore. I just go in, and whatever comes out, comes out. I learn to practice to get rid of perfection, and just understand that God, Mother God, I hook up to that, and whatever comes out is divine.
That's right.
And it's enough.
That's it.
All right, Marcy.
Yes.
So what is the I'm curious, what is the energetic overlay This is good. A perfection that makes it so destructive, especially to women.
Yeah. So, and we're going to talk more about this in our workshop as well. It's this whole concept of energetic overlays has been coming to me very, very heavily in the last couple of weeks. So here's what happens. When you are in this mode of perfectionism, you are literally turning off your, you are separating yourself from your higher self. Your higher self is the creative aspect of you, it's the divine aspect. So when you're stuck in the mode of perfectionism, you're cutting off communication with the very source of energy that is here to live through you. So you're not only robbing yourself of experiences, you're robbing the divine aspect of you of experiences that it is here to experience. And so what happens? Oh, I'm covered in God bumps. What happens energetically is like any other energy as it becomes stagnant, right? You've literally cut off the lifeline from source energy, the energy now that's trying to feed you and fuel you. And what is it trying to fuel? The divine you. So your full expression of all you came here to be. It becomes stagnant. And what are those overlays? Those overlays are all ego induced. That's now you've stepped into rather your divinity, you've now stepped into the ego based control mechanism. So you're feeding the energy that's destroying you. You're feeding the energy that's separating you. You're feeding the energy that you are looking to be sustained from that cannot do it. So literally, it's like eating, and we've talked about this, it's like eating cardboard pizza. There's no nutritional value there. All right. So we have to start remembering we're energetic beings. We are energetic beings. We are not just this physical form. This physical form responds to our energy. And so this is so important and it's so destructive to women because number one, we are the great receivers of the universe. We receive the energy of creation. It is meant to be embodied within us. And then as we release it out, it is taken by the masculine energy and taken into material form. So when we're manifesting, for instance, we have to call up our masculine energy. When you are completely disconnected, you are cutting yourself off from receiving that energy, as I said. You're no longer even capable of accessing your divine feminine energy because you're not receiving and you're trying to maintain yourself in the masculine energy. How's that working for you? It's not. What happens? We break down. And I spoke earlier about the fact that I married this man who like put my perfectionism to shame. I literally broke down. By the time I got myself to the point where I was ready to leave that marriage, I was in like on the verge of a breakdown. Physically, I couldn't leave my house without making certain my purse was full of Tums and Advil and whatever else I could get together because my digestive issues, my headaches were beyond control. I had such pain in my body all the time. I had to manage it with pain medication. And I had panic attacks that would wake me in the middle of the night. I was on the verge of breakdown. And it was all because uh, the perfectionism within me had to try to reach such a level to meet his level of perfectionism so that I wouldn't be seen as not enough or inadequate. And it was impossible, absolutely impossible to live up to it. So, what happened on that verge of breakdown, like any true, divine feminine warrior, I became defiant. And in that defiance, I saved myself. That's when I said, no more. Nope, that's it. And so, where the creativity inside of me had been my solace at one time became my tormentor because I couldn't achieve the perfectionism that I thought needed to go into it. And what I'm realizing, and we're going to talk more about this in our workshop, is there are also gifts in perfectionism. That defiance that came up within me saved me. And it's because I started to realize it was my own perfectionism that was my downfall. But when you start to see its effect on you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you realize the cost is far too great. And I believe that we're being called in this moment. We have got to let it all go. We have got to step into our divine feminine, which is the great receiver of the universe, and create. This is so powerful. That workshop, Amy, I'm thinking 90 minutes isn't going to be enough. We might have to do like part one, part two. It is incredible. And I can't even as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, oh my gosh. All right, Amy, tell me something.
I was like, did you freeze? No.
Nope, I'm just like centering myself.
Yeah, I know.
Can you explain why perfectionism often leads to chronic procrastination and how women can shift from paralysis into powerful forward motion? This is so important.
Okay, so as you've been listening for these last 44 minutes, okay, there's so much when it comes to perfectionism and procrastination. If you're constantly like, I'll do it later, or you have an idea, somehow you forget, conveniently forget, you have another idea, then you kind of forget, you have another idea, you take a couple steps, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, right? That's all about perfectionism, much of it, because we have these ideas that it's supposed to look a certain way, like you talked about. It's supposed to create a certain results. That's a big one. And so when things don't go our way, we start procrastinating more and more because of what Marcy said earlier. Fear. The fear of rejection, the fear of failing anyways, even though we put our time in, we do what we're supposed to do, we're still failing. And a lot of us kind of dealt with this in school when we studied. We thought we studied quite well and we still get an F or a D on the test, right? And so it doesn't make us want to enter into and participate with the process. We don't want to participate with processes because we're so focused on either the outcome and how it's not going to work anyways, and how we're going to get rejected or whatever it is, or even afraid of being vulnerable, because when you let go of perfection, you actually have to be vulnerable, because when you're You have to show your authentic self and live authentically, which means you're heart-centered and you're a vulnerable person. Okay. There's so many things that lead us, that perfection kind of takes on in different forms in our life and is expressed in different ways. Okay. This is why I said it's very insidious. It's a very insidious. And as Marcy was speaking, if having a spiritual connection with a being and someone who understands that there is no need for perfection, you're loved wholly anyways. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to appease anyone. You are fine. You are loved as is. For me, that was a big one. That helped me create a better relationship with perfection, or let go of perfection completely in certain areas of my life. That understanding that there was a higher power that I was loved completely no matter what, right? And breathing through this and embodying a higher level of existence through universe is very powerful. It's a very powerful experience when you choose to take that on in your life. Because I grew up an atheist. As an atheist, self-judgment was huge. Judgment of others, big. When I became spiritual, self-judgment reduced probably 99%, and judgment of others reduced about 95%. Okay. It was such a huge transformation where I was like, oh, I can make a mistake and still be loved. Sometimes not even by me or someone else, but by Mother God. Like, that's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And so I would say this: if you're constantly stuck in procrastination, there's some things, there's things that I do that I'm very bad at. I'm like, I'm very bad at this thing, and I make a concerted effort to do it anyway. Like, do something you're bad at. Like, seriously, I am a horrible sewer, but I insist on making my own curtains. Right? And guess I don't care that there's little imperfections. I don't care. I'm like, you know what? Do something you're bad at. You don't have to be good at everything. This is the patriarchy. Competition. You have to be good at everything. You have to succeed at everything you do. Oh, go have fun. Go play tennis, be bad at tennis. Go bowl, be bad at bowling. Who cares? But it's a practice that you have to give up this idea that you have to be good at everything for you to do it. That's the patriarchy. And then when you have those thoughts, you will have procrastination around things. But this is, again, breaking perfection is a practice. It's not a one-off. And it takes guts and it takes vulnerability to really let go of perfection in your life in a way that it constricts you in your life, because perfection will keep you from participating. It will keep you from participating in life, in your relationships, in your business, in anything, even going out dancing. Right? So we all want to be unapologetic about being on this earth, and our bodies taking up space, our minds having thoughts and beliefs and ideas. We have to be unapologetic about that. We have to ground ourselves in who we are. And I'm going to tell you, you've got to let go of this perfection.
Yeah.
You have to. Otherwise, it's the one thing that will like keep you from your full authenticity and embodiment of self. That's my thing. Go do something you're bad at. And create a my mantra is done is better than perfect. Get it done is better than being perfect. Okay. Um, Marcy,
Yeah.
what is the one thing that can heal and shift the energy of perfection? Is it a mechanism of the heart or the ego?
Great question. And I'm going to start with the second part of that question first. Is it a mechanism of the heart or the ego? It's going to sound strange, but it's actually both. The mechanism itself is one that is dependent on number one, recognizing the ego and how it has played such a part in perpetuating the perfectionism and robbing you literally of everything that you want and need in your life that will bring joy and happiness and peace, contentment, prosperity, abundance, your creativity, and most of all, freedom. So, this mechanism is one where we must identify that ego and its control over you and how it's robbing you of everything that you came here to experience and deserve to experience. All of those things I just mentioned are your birthright. You're a divine being. You're not meant to be suffering. You're meant to be excelling and abundant and expansive. The mechanism of the heart is a different aspect of it. And it's going to sound strange, but it's actually in accepting the ego as it is. Amy and I talk about radical acceptance all the time, and it's not just in one aspect of life. We must radically accept that the ego has its purpose. We keep, trying to disengage from it, but in truth, it has all the capabilities, the possibilities, and the potential of leading us on a healing journey. And so, as we come into this recognition, the mechanism of the heart, number one, is to accept that the ego has played a very important part in your life. And that the ego, rather than being trashed, perhaps we start to look at it as the deliverer of the invitation to come back to your truth, come back to your authentic self, come back to your divine self, and allow now the heart to heal that gap, that relationship. So, how does it do it? Number one, this is really what we're talking about is forgiveness. It's forgiveness of yourself. What aspect of yourself did you deny? What aspect of yourself did you dismiss? Did you see as not enough, not valuable enough, not worthy enough? This healing of the heart requires forgiveness, forgiveness of yourself. That's how we come back into alignment with our truth. So that forgiveness is really a process of letting go, right? Being willing to let go of all of those aspects that kept us so separate from who we are. So forgiveness is such a huge but essential aspect of dissolving the energy of perfectionism and its effect on you. This is really a moment where you start to recognize you can't live outside of your heart any longer. You just can't. It's too treacherous. And you can see as we look out into the world that there's very little there where you can feel stable. right? You cannot put your trust in what's happening in the outside world. The only place where you can put your trust is in your inside world, your heart. And so this mechanism of forgiveness is one where we also make peace with the ego. We must. And so, with that, and I know our time is coming to an end, but Amy, I wanted to first and foremost, please, everyone, if you haven't yet signed up for that workshop on perfectionism, please don't hesitate. This is for $47, 90 minutes. Amy and I really sharing on a very deep level, but also providing you with healing processes. We're all in this together and we must work together to move beyond this and welcome our divine feminine aspect of selves and start receiving all the information that the world needs now. So, having said that, please, the link is in the chat and sign up. It's going to be a life changer for you.
Yes, I want to interject. I
Yeah.
want to say, like, if you are feeling resentful and
Hmm.
still overgiving, you should sign up for the workshop. If you're avoiding hard conversations because you have this fear of being too much or being rejected, sign up for the workshop. If you have this business and you over prepare, you get everything ready, you did it, and you don't launch it, sign up for the workshop. If you feel like you have this fear of even resting, you're not supposed to rest because you're supposed to be working and doing and giving and giving and giving. That's perfectionism. There's so many things that the procrastination, I'm not ready yet. That's really about perfection.
That's right.
So we all have to, you don't ask for help when you need help. Perfectionism. These are some of the things that really, there's so much more. I mean, I'm telling you,
So much more.
it's insidious,
Mhm.
and that we have to get a handle on this. We can't let it get in the way of who we want to be, of our desires, our dreams, our relationships, if you're micromanaging everybody and then getting angry and frustrated, that's all perfection. You're judging others and you're trying to really control other people because you might feel uncomfortable about something. Perfectionism. So the link is there. You get all kinds of other stuff. You get, radiant reflections, you get Marcy's course, you get replays of the show and of the workshop. So where are we at, Marcy? We're at 10:59.
Yeah. So I want to acknowledge Evelyn in the chat
Yeah.
who said, I think it's best for me to admit that I'm not a perfect student and leave the meeting. And that's okay. The most important thing is that we are true to ourselves.
Yeah.
That was such a powerful statement, right? And one of the things that, again, we're going to talk about in the workshop, but I'd actually like to leave you with the homework assignment.
Okay.
And that is to spend some time imagining yourself with that healed heart. What do you look like? What do you sound like when you've been able to let that perfectionism go? How are you going to be different? How's your life going to be different? I can tell you, and Amy said this also, and Amy, maybe you can give us a moment, but I'm here talking to you because I was able to let go of that need to be so perfect in my life. And I let go of my need to appease others. And I just accepted I'm going to be a huge disappointment to you because I'm going to be me. How about you, Aim? Have you experienced that too?
Of course. Of course. Are you joking me? I was famous for I'm shy. I can't talk. No, I was like, no, Marcy's like, okay, get off. Stop. Your 3 minutes are up. But yeah, there's a freedom that comes with this is what you get. What you see
Yeah.
is what you get.
Mhm.
And if you're disappointed, I'm very happy for you.
That's right.
You got work to do. You deal with that.
Yep.
But leave me
Exactly.
out of it. Leave me out of it
Yeah.
because your disappointment is not my issue. Right. So you become more confident in who you are and more accepting of who you are. And, I'm a beautiful, kind person. If you have a problem with me, then I think there's a problem with you because
That's
I'm a
right.
very like easygoing, kind person. And I know that about myself. And I know I make mistakes and I don't, that's okay too.
Well, our time has come to an
Yeah.
end.
We're at
Again,
11:02.
I'm hoping to see you all in our workshop on the 30th. And if not, please start to imagine yourself as having healed that heart and letting go of the perfectionism that literally has controlled you and prevented you from living life full on. And know that you're here with that purpose and really embrace it, embody it.
Hmm.
So much love to you all. Thank you for being with us. We know that it's, a challenge at times to just come in and, put the time aside to be with us
Monthly.
in this live program. However, and we know so many of you are enjoying these videos, recordings of
Yeah.
our show. We get great feedback. And yeah, please, if you have any, Jane, thank you so much for your
Yeah.
heart. Please let us know. We love to know how we are how we are really supporting you and the changes that are taking place in your life too. Please let us know. You can let us know in the chat or send us an email. But we love you so much and thank you. Thank you so much for taking your precious time to be with us now live.
And you'll get a replay of this in your inbox and a
That's
chance
right.
to join our workshop again.
Yep.
And so I know if you're coming late, then don't worry, you can catch the whole thing. I should have that done
Right.
in a couple hours.
Exactly. And thanks so much, Amy. I always love being here with you.
Yeah. And Marcy and I have free gifts on the
Oh,
replay
yeah, we have
email.
free gifts.
Yeah, the free gifts are on the email that you'll be receiving through the replay that are available to you.
Exactly.
All
All
right,
right.
guys.
Thanks so much, everyone. See you
Okay.
next month or hopefully July 30th for the workshop.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do that. So yeah, I'm going to stop the YouTube.